Good evening to all, and a big welcome to the Charity Governance Awards for 2021, which the Clothworkers Company has been hosting now for 6 years. This is our second virtual awards event, and in better times we will be greeting you at our hall in the City of London. But thank you so much for tuning in. Without further ado, I'm going to go straight into introducing Ndidi Okezie, who amid her numerous other commitments has kindly agreed to join us tonight to provide our keynote speech. Ndidi is the CEO of UK Youth, the leading national charity, with a growing network of over 8,000 youth organisations and nation partners who use the educational disciplines of youth work to support the social, personal and skill development of over 4 million young individuals. Prior to that, Ndidi worked as a teacher and school leader for 10 years, spent 6 years as the executive director of the much admired charity Teach First, having previously led on digital and customer voice strategy at Pearson plc. She sits on the board of Centrepoint, the Mulberry Schools Trust, and the National Citizen Service, and also on Sky's Diversity Advisory Council. And Ndidi, over to you.
Hi, thank you so much, Michael, and thank you to the Charity Governance Awards for having me and inviting me to join you today. Fingers crossed technology does not embarrass me, so stay with me. Thank you all so much for having me. It's really humbling honor to have been asked to come and deliver the keynote for this really fantastic event. Even in this forced digital environment we're in, I can still feel the excitement that surrounds this opportunity to reflect and celebrate the work of the nominees tonight. For those who are hearing about us for the first time, do let me start by introducing UK Youth to you. As Michael said, we're a leading national charity with a vision to ensure that all young people are equipped to thrive and empowered to contribute at every stage of their lives. With an open network of over 7,000 youth organisations and nation partners, we are focused on unlocking youth work as the catalyst of change that is needed now more than ever. Quality youth development support should be available to young people regardless of who they are, where they live, or what they need. We believe that now is the time to build a movement of like-minded people determined to create a society that understands, champions, and delivers effective youth work for all. The topic of the night is governance. And I don't know about you, but I think that governance can sound like quite a severe word. I think one of the specific definitions reads, the systems by which entities are directed and controlled. Well, whether it was as a school leader with my governing board, as a charity executive working with my CEO and the board, as a vice president at Pearson working with the FTSE 100 board, or as a non-executive board director myself today, for me, governance has always been about partnership. Partnership that shows up in the form of structure, accountability, capability, challenge, capacity, inspiration, and collaborative leadership support. I've always experienced it to be a unique gift, but it is really in the past year that I've truly understood the make or break lifeline that it is. I joined UK Youth in January of 2020. I had barely finished my very well prepared, in my first 100 days, I will speech before the pandemic hit, and everything I had so dutifully planned for was reduced to utter fiction. Across the pandemic, quality collaboration became imperative, and I was so grateful to have cause to suddenly be working side by side with other infrastructure bodies representing different parts of the VCSE sector. I saw firsthand a variety of examples of the difference good foundational governance makes to leaders. I also saw the damage that bad governance and/or ineffective governing relationships was having on individuals and on the critical work being done by the third sector. Trust me, those insights drove me to take my duty to make sure that the CEOs of the organizations I'm a trustee for were okay. No, really okay. The sentiment of "it's lonely at the top" doesn't really begin to describe it. And so you will have to please indulge me as I take this opportunity to celebrate the board of UK Youth. I know you understand what I mean when I say they went above and beyond and have continued to be the make or break lifeline that I have personally needed. There is no getting away from the fact that the pandemic has had a profound and devastating impact on many parts of the charity sector. In February, UK Youth published a report on the impact of the pandemic on youth services. Overall, the report highlighted that COVID-19 had and is continuing to have an overwhelmingly negative impact on young people, particularly regarding their education, employment, well-being, mental health, and overall development support. Our report revealed that 2/3 of organizations saw an increase in demand for their services, against 83% reporting that their income had decreased. And in many cases, youth organizations have been unable to meet the substantial and growing demand for their services. The wider youth sector was already struggling financially. COVID hit in the shadows. The total year-on-year cuts were already close to 6 billion. To put that into context, that's cuts to the sector totaling more than 70% in less than 10 years. Coronavirus shut down the sector's ability to fundraise almost overnight. Services were stopped at the exact time they were needed more than ever. Even now, 8 out of 10 charities believe the pandemic will negatively impact their ability to deliver on planned objectives in the next 12 months. 1 in 10 have said they are concerned they may in fact be forced to permanently close. I'm speaking from experience here. During the first lockdown, we had to furlough 65% of our staff. And due to a sudden income loss of around £2 million, we suddenly had to make redundancies at Avon Tyrrell, which is our outdoor learning centre in the New Forest. In addition to the increase in demand for services, the pandemic also brought into sharp focus the inequalities that still exist for different parts of our society. Although we were trying to stabilize our own organization, we understood that we exist to serve. We exist to show up and be there for young people. And so we knew we had to step up and lean into the agency of influence that we have. Following the callous murder of George Floyd, I personally found myself emotionally distraught, feeling really powerless. And I was overwhelmingly hearing the same sentiments from staff and partners. And so I just shared an invitation out to our staff to join an open space, simply to talk. And out of that conversation came the idea to give young people a platform to share their stories. We then worked in partnership to launch Young and Black, a digital campaign focused on giving young people the space to talk, spotlighting the experiences of Black people in Britain and encouraging all of us to stop, listen, learn. This awakening on the issues surrounding racial inequality challenged many organizations to look at their practices. Even though this was necessary and long overdue, leaders and boards had to really look at how equality, diversity, and inclusion shows up in our organizations, or more soberingly, how they do not. I struggle with the fact that the charity sector is not an aligned leading force for good on this issue of racial equality. The inconsistency of that, as it sits juxtaposed against the very foundations of our legitimacy to exist, I think should really force us to reflect. Because if not now, when? I am so inspired by the wonderful organizations here today. I'm in awe of the work you do and how your boards have ensured your values remain core to your practice. Just to shout out a few of you, I saw that Disability Rights UK called themselves out, recognizing they did not reflect the full diversity of the disabled community they exist to serve. The board then made changes that led to greater diversity among staff, ambassadors, and volunteers, and changes that have evolved how the charity itself delivers services. A cause very close to my own heart, Youth Theatre Ricknick, worked tirelessly to make sure that young people were not left behind in the pandemic. Their board developed a new virtual performance project, which continued to engage the charity's participants and re-engaged with past alumni. Throughout the pandemic, it's the everyday community stories that kept me going. And there are so many stories like these. And I know that for so many of us, this work of purpose, this work of significance, it's the reason we keep going. And against all odds, we refuse to quit. So even now, we don't yet fully understand the long-term impact that the pandemic will have on our beneficiaries. Personally, for us, we believe in the power of young people, but it's not fair to ask them to continue to navigate a broken system. We have to do better. But will promised funding be repurposed? Will avenues for charity trading remain viable? Will donors continue to have the mindset and income to give back? We have to believe they will. And we have to be confident that we can work together to build back better for our communities and our young people. So my closing call to action for each of us is to do a personal audit right now. Do you feel free to be honest? Honest with ourselves, with our staff, our volunteers, and most pertinently for tonight, are we in an environment where we feel safe to be honest with our boards, with those early adopting champions who choose to guide us? I'll leave you with an old African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. With the right people, the right values, and certainly with a whole heap of hard work, what we do can really change a piece of the world. And nothing typifies that more than the sacred partnership dance between governance, staff, and supporters. Tonight, I am so pleased to be able to join in on the celebration of the wonder that is. Thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm Rob Berkeley, and I'm really pleased to be here. I've been one of the judges for Board Equity, Diversity and Inclusion. I currently work with Blackout UK, and we're a collective of Black, bi, gay and trans men who are finding new responses to the shared challenges that we face. It's been a real pleasure and honour to present this award and to work as a judge over the past few years, looking at these issues. And I should thank my fellow judges for their wisdom, their good humour and their commitment to this particular cause, and to craft workers for their for constantly championing these issues, because it's clear how important this award is. There definitely remain significant challenges for charities who are engaged in transforming society, in imagining and then making real the world as we want it to be, while being engaged and connected to the world as it is. So we've been reminded over the past year, in many ways, that the world is far from how we need it to be. And so that all of us can contribute to society and contribute to finding the solutions that we need, given the scale of the challenges. It's clear that board diversity, equity and inclusion is crucial. So we were very impressed with so many of the entrants, but we had to come up with a shortlist. So this award is for organisations that can demonstrate diversity within their board membership and a commitment to being inclusive. We were looking for charities where this diversity complements the specific nature of the charity and its work. For example, the range of beneficiaries and the organisation's scope, strategy and values. So, our shortlist. Disability Rights UK, TLC, Talk, Listen, Change, and Warwickshire Vision and Support. So Disability Rights UK works to create a society where disabled people have the power, rights, and equality of opportunity. The charity understands that to be successful in its mission, it needs to ensure that its staff, ambassadors, volunteers, and members represent the intersectional diversity of disabled people in the UK. And they shared with us their journey when the board made changes at the board level which underpinned practices across the organisation and led to greater diversity amongst staff, ambassadors and volunteers. Now the organisation is better equipped to fulfil its mission in supporting disabled people and advocating for meaningful change in society. TLC, Talk, Listen, Change. And they're working to build a society where people enjoy good emotional well-being and personal resilience, supported by positive relationships in all areas of life. The charity works with children, young people and adults who have dangerous, complicated, risky or no relationships with others or a negative relationship with themselves. And the board shared that they'd led the charity through a major change since 2018, disaffiliating with the National Federation and evolving into TLC. They developed an ideal board profile, which is more representative of the charity's service users, and used it to set recruitment targets, developed partnerships with other organisations to help them specifically recruit trustees from minority ethnic backgrounds, and those who are under the age of 40, or with lived experiences similar to those whom the charity aims to support. And they also sought out candidates without any prior experience serving as a trustee. Judges describe the narrative of TLC as developed around the issue of diversity as bravely different, appreciating that the charity is very intentional about its approach. And Warwickshire Vision Support, who for more than a century have provided services to blind and partially sighted people. Warwickshire Vision Support shared with us their experience over the past 3 years, where they had made some major changes. More than half of the trustees now have experience of a visual impairment or disability. And there are trustees who are from minority ethnic communities and various age groups from the mid-20s to the mid-70s. And the board now benefits from these trustees' knowledge of accountancy, activism, journalism, logistics management, nursing and more, and has appointed 4 independent advisors from key external organisations to add additional support. So as you can see from the shortlist, some great organisations making great changes in such a crucial area. And I'm pleased to be able to announce that the winner this year is, drum roll, is TLC.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Adiba Sultan, and I am one of the trustees at TLC Charity. We won. I do have a speech prepared if I find it. I was actually looking through the list of attendees. So on behalf of the charity, first of all, I'd really like to thank the panel of judges. We're really, really thrilled to be shortlisted. Warwickshire Vision Support and Disability Rights UK are phenomenal organisations who are doing amazing work in the equality, diversity, inclusion field. So to win is absolutely incredible. A huge thank you also goes to our trustees of our board, Michelle, our CEO, and her team, who actively sought out to make the board more representative of their community, their teams, their staff, and their stakeholders. Our board is filled with individuals who understand that knowledge and empathy brought in through lived experience is invaluable. Over the last 15 months of being a trustee, I must point out that I'm the youngest trustee and a first-time trustee, so I've had a lot to learn, and the board have been so supportive. And all the new trustees have been paired up with other trustees who have been there for longer to build our knowledge and our experience as well, and to teach us what we need to learn. I've been part of the Developing People's Committee, creating an EDI strategy, and I've been watching the team strive for inclusion. I've been part of conversations that actively discuss the importance of understanding intersectionality, which can sometimes be forgotten by organisations. The diversity of the board has been an enabler in the journey that we've had so far. Having a diverse board leads to better decisions, better governance, and greater accountability to ourselves, our staff, and our communities. It's an honour to be recognised for the work that we have done so far, but we know that we're at the beginning of our journey, and I think that's what we're hearing a lot about tonight. And we'll strive to continue increasing our knowledge, listening to lived experience, and ensuring that equality, inclusion, and diversity are embedded in the chapters of our journey. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Rachel Neiman, and I'm delighted to be here tonight to present the Transforming with Digital Award. My background is in digital transformation and leadership, primarily in the public and not-for-profit sectors. I'm currently a non-executive director myself on several boards, and so I see firsthand the importance of governance to an organisation. So just to echo what Ndidi was saying, whatever the size or sector of that organisation. And the Transforming with Digital category recognises a board that has championed digital to help the charity unlock its potential, unlock its impact, and become truly digital first. And clearly over the past year, that has been such a challenge as well as an opportunity for so many organisations as the pandemic has hit, and we've all had to adapt to doing things remotely. We had an absolutely fantastic field of entries. I've done this now for several years, and really the entries were superb. And as ever, it's very difficult to narrow it down. But to give you the shortlist in alphabetical order, they were 15 Square, which is an organisation that provides information and advice to men on foreskin health. Brooke, that supports young people to make informed decisions about their sexual health. Happy Baby Community, that builds safe communities for pregnant women and women with young children who fled war, violence, or traffickers. And the Muslim Women's Network UK, that advances equality and social justice for Muslim women and girls across the UK. Now, you may have noticed that in this category, we actually had 4 shortlisted and not just 3. Just to give a little bit of feedback from my fellow judges and I on each of these organisations. So we felt very much that 15 Square as a very, very small charity really punched above its weight in embracing a range of digital delivery models to support its service users. Happy Baby Community, in their entry, Brooke clearly demonstrated a digital first delivery model and strong levels of trustee engagement, which was very impressive. Happy Baby Community adopted an extremely practical approach in providing its community of vulnerable women smartphones to facilitate the digitization of its services. So they got over that issue of access by actually providing the hardware. And we were very impressed by the impact that that had. And the Muslim Women's Network UK demonstrated an inspiring level of ambition in its response to the pandemic that drove significant improvements in impact. So many congratulations to all 4 on being shortlisted. As I said, it's always difficult to single out a single entry, but unfortunately that's what we had to do. So I'm delighted to announce that the winner of the Transforming with Digital category for 2021 is the Muslim Women's Network UK. We were really impressed by the way the charity developed its digital strategy, assessed the risks, and ultimately then invested in digital, as well as by the support and openness of the board to learn and evolve. So many, many congratulations.
Thank you so much for the award. I did prepare a speech, but I've forgotten it out of shock. And sorry, you can actually hear my little daughter in the background. So this is actually an example of our digital, embracing digital. Let me finish my speech, please. Okay, say hi to everybody. Say hi to everybody on this awards. Hi. Thank you so much for this award. I'm shocked because, as always, we're always shortlisted with such amazing organizations that each time I think we're not, this is just so amazing that the others are definitely going to win. So congratulations to all the others who have been shortlisted, because I read all of your work and I just thought, oh my God, you're all amazing. Thank you to our trustee team who are always working hard, always dedicated. More importantly, they're always willing to go for it. There's always so many risks involved, but they are willing to say, you know what, we can do it. Let's go for it. And for their ambition, for their ability to, think ahead, and for just their confidence to think, yeah, we can do it. Thank you for all of that. Thank you to our staff and our funders for believing in us. And especially because when it comes to digital, it is always evolving. We have a plan, but you have to keep reviewing the plan constantly, and you've got to be ready to maneuver and change the plan all the time. And our poor staff have had to put up with that, as constantly saying, actually, we're going on to plan B now. We're doing this instead now. And thank you. And sorry about this. And finally, I just want to say, just one more sentence. Thank you. Just one more sentence. I want to thank the Charity Governance Awards for actually holding this awards again, because I'm sure the trustees will agree, a lot of the time it is a thankless job. So thank you, Charity Governance Awards, for recognising the work of trustees. And we hope that everyone here is feeling proud of themselves for being shortlisted and for winning. Thank you. And now I will stop since my toddler is refusing to be quiet. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Moira Sinclair, and as a funder, I know just how important good governance is to the success of a charity. And it was my pleasure to be part of the panel for the Improving Impact in Small Charities Awards. By small, we meant charities with between 3 and 0 members of staff. And by improving impact, we were focused on social impact rather than financial impact. So let me introduce our shortlist. We have on the shortlist Ed UK Aid, Hillingdon Women's Centre, and Northern Hull Community Rainbow Gardens. So a little bit more about each one. First of all, Ed UK Aid, which is a small, highly efficient and effective charity with a really clear vision, operating in a remote region of Tanzania, improving both the access to and quality of education for some of the country's most disadvantaged children. Its grassroots approach has been key to its success, ensuring high levels of community engagement. EdUK recruited trustees who could help the board increase scrutiny, ensure accountability, and apply a more strategic approach to growth. And trustees led the organisation through a transformative journey, learning from mistakes, involving diverse stakeholders in decision-making, and recruiting implementation partners to help the charity fulfil its goals. Next on our list, Hillingdon Women's Centre, which provides a women-only and trauma-informed safe space supporting vulnerable women. Over 34 years, the underlying aims and objectives of HWC have remained unchanged, but in 2017, the charity recognised that its community needed more. The board started recruiting trustees with new perspectives and experience in managing change to support a radical shift in governance and the development of a new strategic plan for the organisation. Judges were impressed by the board's commitment to learning and adapting its thinking and its governance. As a result, the organisation now has a clearer sense of purpose and has increased the diversity of voices driving it forward. And third on our list, Northern Hull Community Rainbow Gardens is an exclusive community garden based on the North Hull estate, offering the opportunity for people of all ages and abilities to grow salads, herbs and vegetables. As for many charities, as we've heard this year, social distancing and lockdown measures increase the risk of social isolation for the charity's beneficiaries, whilst also forcing the community garden to close its gates for extended periods of time. The charity risked losing contact with its service users, but the board worked together to find opportunities to help the organisation to transform its outreach. This tiny organisation is very clear on its impact, on the impact it's striving to achieve, with a good understanding of its charitable purpose and the role that impact measurement can play in fulfilling that. So congratulations to all of you. It was a wonderful discussion that we had, and you stood out above the crowd as really impressive organisations in many ways. As others have said, it was a real challenge, and I'm afraid we have to only award one winner. And that winner is Ed UK Aid. Congratulations to everybody. But Ed UK Aid really impressed us. They were able to demonstrate a strong learning curve from project-driven management to strategic management. We felt this was a really good example of a charity that was established by a group of individuals because they had a passion, and then evolved into a more professional enterprise, achieving greater impact because of that. The board identified a need for change, and they drove it forward using data to inform their decision-making. Trustees put beneficiary and community voices at the heart of their work and placed clear value on the role of monitoring and evaluation in improving their processes. Judges were able to see where the charity is headed, and Ed UK Aid's commitment to sustainability and using monitoring and evaluation practices to steer the charity going forward. It's a small organisation that's punching well above its weight and driven to eradicate the need for their services altogether, which we thought was a really impressive goal. We felt the organisation demonstrates that charities can deliver better impact when the board can step above the day-to-day and personal interests to pay attention to what they hear from the communities they aim to support. So very many congratulations, and over to Tim Varney.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to the judges. Thank you to our board of trustees, and a particular shout out to our one member of staff in the UK, which is Teresa. And I don't know how she does the work she does, but she does, and she does it incredibly well. I guess one of the things that COVID has taught me, I've been involved in the charity since it started. I was one of those passionate people getting involved right from day one. And COVID has taught me that how strong the charity is, because we have been able to continue our work. There was a time in the early days when I would visit Tanzania probably 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a year. And yet in the last year and a half, nobody from the UK has been over to Tanzania. And yet the charity has been able to continue its great work. Our staff over there know what they're doing. They've been well trained, and they've been delivering those projects just as well as they were when we were able to visit. So I feel immensely proud. I've seen the charity develop over those 17 years, from when we were helping just 200 children to now over 10,000 children, and continuing. So thank you so much. I'm a very proud chair of governors today, and this award means a great deal to us. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. We're running a little bit behind time, but I'll make this really sweet. This is our final award for the night. My name is Mohammed Osman. I oversee Spring Impact's operation in the UK. We are a charity enabling other charities and funders to scale their impact. We do this through consulting and sharing our insights and learning from the sector. The award I'm presenting tonight is called COVID-19 Response, Embracing Opportunities and Harnessing Risk. I would like very much to thank my fellow judges, Berger Andreasen, Managing Director of Prospectus, Emma Ackerman, Funding Strategy Director, National Lottery Fund, Andy Turner, who is also Managing Director from Prospectus, who was our amazing facilitator, and of course, the wonderful Renee Ledoux, who has pulled all of us together from the Cloth Workers Company. This is a new category. It was created based on feedback from external evaluators of the award, and also to acknowledge the difficulty of the past year. Despite all the challenges of the past year, we still received more than 100 entries to this award. I understand this was the most popular category this year. I think hence why we are closing the show tonight. The judges were determined to reward the amazing things inspiring trustees have done during this difficult time. So to our shortlist. The Green Windmill Trust is located in Nottingham. They operate the Green Windmill Trust Science Center, which furthers and promotes George Green's scientific reputation. The judges were particularly impressed with the trustees who took a bold approach transforming the charity services, and also they reimagined how the heritage will support the local community. It's a very good story about what they did with flour. So please do read more on the website of the award. The next nominee is the Open Road Charity. The Open Road Charities offered multitude of free services, including drug and alcohol treatment. They also provide support to military personnel in detention. The judges were impressed with the way the Board of Trustees recognized how the pandemic will affect the charity. And also they found new ways of working, embedding clinical learning at the governance level, which is quite critical because they provided some clinical support to alleviate the pressure on the NHS. RICNIC, who got name-checked by our keynote speaker today, Ndidi, is one of the UK's most innovative charities. They run a youth theatre company working with over 350 young people each year. The judges saw evidence that the board had maintained momentum in this pandemic response, developed a new program of work, but also moved the momentum forward. So they didn't stand still, they kept moving and delivering more for the community. These are amazing organizations, and I would really encourage you to visit their website to learn more about them, and most importantly, to support them, including with some funding. The winner for this year's COVID-19 response, embracing opportunity and harnessing risk, goes to, boom, the Green Wheels Trust. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. What an honor. So I'm Jamie, I'm the Heritage Officer at Greens Mill. I think back now to the first lockdown when we sat down as a group and we talked about closing the site. And in an ironic manner, the meeting kept being interrupted by the ringing of the phone and the ordering of flour. And we realized that we couldn't close entirely and the show must go on. So I'm not going to lie, it was overwhelming at times, but making flour is what we do, it's what we enjoy. So we were really grateful to be able to continue making a difference. It was our millers really that were responsible for the production of the flour. So it fell to me to do all the admin side and allocation. We had, must have been about 600 flour orders within 2 months, which is about 4 times the amount of an average year. So it was me that got to ring all of the customers and let them know their flour was ready. I've never brought so much joy to so many people. It was brilliant. It wouldn't have been possible, of course, without the amazing support of our Board of Trustees. It would have been very easy for them just to say, okay, let's close. As a museum, we could have just closed for a year and, you know, that could have been it. But that's not what our trustees are about. They champion innovation and creativity to meet their charity's objectives and aims. So carrying on milling and producing the flour was just an extension of that, if you like. And it allowed us to continue impacting lives of the local population and community, just in a different way to how we'd done it before. So yeah, we're absolutely honoured to receive this. It rounds off nicely what has been a challenging year for us. So I'd like to thank the judges and everyone that's organised the event, and of course our amazing supporters who have just really, pushed us on to keep going during the issues that we've had. And I'll just leave you with this last thing. As the famous motto of a rather different windmill once went, "We never close."
Thanks so much, Jamie, and I love the last sentence. Brilliant. Congratulations to your Windmill Trust. I'm now delighted to introduce Ayesha Tariq, who will facilitate the winners panel discussion with questions and answers. Ayesha is a chair and founder of All Ways Network, while also a member, I'm delighted to say, of the grants team at the Clothworkers Foundation. If during this you would like to submit questions, make observations, or share any insights, please use Zoom chat, which has been quite busy this evening. Ayesha.
Thank you, Michael, for the introduction, and to Clothworkers for asking me to be the facilitator for tonight for what I would say is probably one of the most exciting segments this evening, which is the panel discussion with the winners. As Michael said, we encourage all of our guests tonight online to send in your questions for our winners. And if you wish, we'd love to hear from you for your insights and even advice in particular around the categories awarded tonight. And you can do this by, again, as Michael said, using the chat function somewhere on your screen. But before I start, let me tell you a little bit about the organization I'm the founder and chair for, which is All Ways Network. We support grassroots not-for-profits working with the diverse Muslim communities living across the UK. And we do this through events such as webinars and training, and particularly focusing on areas that will assist them to become institutionally fundable. We're all volunteers, Muslim-led team working in grant making and the frontline charity sector. So our expertise and partnership with funders and charities alike enables capacity building and a chance to learn more about the rich Muslim community embedded within the British culture. And I know that they're watching, so hi team. We value how much grassroots organizations have, and in particular over the past year, been the backbone of your local communities. So we say a very special thank you to those charities for all the amazing work and vital work that you have done. But now, without further ado, let's again give a warm welcome to all the winners of the Charity Governance Awards 2021. So we have back on the stage Adiba Sultan from TLC, Talk, Listen, Change, Nazmin Akhtar from Muslim Women's Network UK, and maybe her daughter, not too sure, Tim Varney from Educate Aid, and finally Jamie Duff from Greens Windmill Trust. No doubt it has been a very rewarding night for you all. So congratulations. And it was amazing to see your genuine reaction of the surprise and the shock and the kids being involved, which is absolutely fantastic. And this is what it's about, the charity sector. It's all about the community doing the work that you're doing, and is getting families and everybody involved, which is fantastic because it doesn't stop for the charity sector. It's continuous and normally working 24/7 sometimes. So congratulations to you all. So on that note, what does it mean to be recognized both as a shortlisted charity and now as a winner for good governance after the last year? This is a question for all of you. So let's start with Tim Varney.
I think that having seen the charity develop from those early days of being driven by passion and not so much governance, if I'm being honest, to working through to where we are now, I've seen a huge change in the charity and the setup of the charity. So it is nice to have to be recognised now, and for the trustees that are involved with the charity now, we developed that board over the last few years. So we know the impact that we're having. But it's nice to be recognised for that. And so it will mean a lot to all of us.
Absolutely. And Adiba, I think that was probably a shocker for you. And I can only assume that it must have been a delight.
I'm still speechless, and that's not like me. I think it's been, I think everyone here knows, it's been a really, really tough year. And I think it's been challenging in lots of different ways. So having something like this and going back to the team and being able to say, we've just won, you know, this has happened, it's going to be a huge morale boost for everyone. I think it means a lot, because one of the most important parts of doing what you do, and everyone works in the charity sector for a reason, and those things mean a lot to us. And there's a specific reason, like I became a trustee for a specific reason, because I genuinely believe in values of relationships and being able to feel that you can get support from at least somewhere, and knowing that you've got those options. And being valued is so important. So being able to take this back and saying our work is being recognised is going to be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. Jamie, your sentiments?
Well, if we go back quite a few years to 2012, our humble windmill, which you can see behind us, there was a danger it might close because of austerity more than anything. It was run by Nottingham City Council at the time, and it was maybe going to close entirely or open at weekends or maybe just in the summer. And that was going from open all year round. And we had a small group involved at the time called the Friends of Greens Mill, perhaps an amateur group, if you like, serve hot drinks, you know, at big events. And they said, "Oh no, we can't have the windmill closing. We need to do something about this." So they registered as a charity and took it on in 2013. And then fast forwarding a few years later, 2019, we were lucky enough to win a governance award in the 0 to 3 staff, which was such an amazing thing for our group. And same sort of thing, really, the morale boost was incredible. And we had really had some really good momentum up to that point, and that carried on. And then COVID hit, of course, and as a museum we had to close. And as you've heard already, we carried on with the flower, but I would say that was probably our biggest challenge since starting as an organisation and taking on the windmill. So yeah, just to get the recognition again from the governance awards for the efforts that we put in, yeah, just means so much to us.
Yeah, I could hear it in your voice, and you're very lucky that it's good weather outside. Otherwise, it would have been a different story. It's fantastic to see the windmill in the background. Nazmin, I mean, this is your second award as well. Oh, the video's off now. Oh, there we go.
It's actually our third award.
Oh, so, third award. There we go.
One times in a row, and honestly, it's amazing. And I think, in a way, like for us now, applying to nominating ourselves for the Charity Governance Awards is like an informal evaluation. Like if we're good enough to be shortlisted, we know we're doing something right. And as I said before, being a trustee can be a thankless job, because not everyone sees what's going on in the background. Not everyone really understands the level of decision making, research, evaluation that goes into it. And I think I speak for every single trustee in England, although my daughter is now objecting to me speaking for every trustee in England. But the pandemic has been an exhausting year, especially for trustees who've had to make the difficult decisions about, do we furlough, do we not furlough? Which services do we carry on, which services we don't, what do we change in the way we're working? These are all really, really difficult decisions, which have been exhausting, but not everyone has been able to see, how we've come to those decisions, what assessments we've taken. So, the fact that we've been recognised again for all of that effort that went in is just incredible. And we honestly can't thank you enough, because it has been such a boost. And thank you for it. Why are you objecting to this?
You're absolutely right. I mean, to come back and to know that, sort of winning the first time, second time, that never give up, basically. You never know what's going to happen. And exactly what you're saying in terms of the trustees, making difficult decisions, and you can only do the best that you can. And sort of talking about the trustees, and Adiba, I think it was probably, this question would be good for you, is that, you mentioned that you're the youngest trustee in your organization, but how do you involve younger people to be a trustee, and how do you inspire them to join the board?
You're not choosing easy questions for me, are you?
Well, it's actually from David Smith from 15 Squares, so it's down to him.
Thanks, David. I think a lot of people, first of all, a lot of people don't realise that they can become trustees. And that was a big surprise to me. So in my family, a lot of people have been trustees. So I knew about what a trustee was, and I knew all of these things. But actually, most of my friends, there were assumptions made about trustees, and I'm just going to be very honest about those. I did a speech recently, and someone asked me what a trustee does, and I was just like, well, most people just assume that trustees are old people, and we're quite boring, and these are horrible, these are stereotypical assumptions. But actually, we've got so much talent, so much skill, so much knowledge, and trustees are from 20s and onwards. So one of the things that we've been doing is that I'm a mentor as well. So part of my role as a mentor is teaching whoever I'm with about their opportunities, their options, and actually along with that, I work in the community through the NHS, and a lot of my work is to do with anti-gang violence, and there we develop a lot of work around options and opportunities, and I think as organisations we link in with lots of different people with different age groups, different backgrounds. And as we link in with them, we also provide information and opportunities. I think most of it's about communication and opportunities. I said that a lot today, but I think that's the core part.
Yeah, it's a good takeaway point, and that's absolutely true. Tim, like for the organisation, what are your aims and plans for the future now, COVID-19 dependent? That's from Kate.
I think it was mentioned earlier that as we develop, we kind of want to step further back from the work that we do and leave it to our staff. I mentioned that in the UK we have one member of staff, Teresa, but in Tanzania we have 43, all Tanzanians, local people to the work that we do, and so it's about having maximum impact over there with the money that we raise, and gradually we want we want to get to a point when we are no longer needed as a charity, because that work and that work can continue. Realistically, that may take some time, but that will always be our goal. And as I mentioned, the fact that the charity has continued to deliver its projects through COVID is a testament to the setup of the way that the charity works, and that makes me immensely proud that we can do that. And I see no reason why that can't continue as long as we can keep raising the funds over here. And of course, COVID has made that more difficult, but we have come through so far, and because our costs are low in the UK, we can continue that work.
Excellent. Same question to you, Jamie. What's your plans? I mean, you've got the windmill museum.
Yeah, that's right. So I suppose reopening fully, which hopefully we'll be able to do at the last lifting of restrictions. The interesting thing for us is, while the flower demand isn't quite what it was during the first lockdowns, there is still quite a demand there. So we've obviously appealed to a lot of new people because they keep coming back to us. So I think a big challenge for us will be sustaining the flower production while still running the science museum and our community garden as well. But we're really fortunate that we've got a passionate and dedicated team of volunteers if I said 40 or more, that, you know, keep us open and operating, really. We'd probably struggle to open the doors without our amazing volunteers. So it would just be bringing together them and 3 staff here and the trustees, getting the site reopened, fully reopen, and welcoming people back, and hopefully having a full program of events over the summer.
Excellent. No, that's absolutely true. I think we definitely have to say thank you to all the volunteers out there who've just been working tirelessly throughout COVID as well, and in particular. And as you mentioned as well, Jamie, that you know, you were offering services that normally you don't do. Was that also the case with you, Nazmin? Like, you were offering services that maybe was outside of your remit?
So not necessarily outside of our remit, but we definitely had to re-divert our resources. Sorry, just give me 1 second if you don't mind.
I don't want to leave you out of the conversation, but it's so important to hear what Muslim Women's Network have to say. But okay.
Sorry about this. One of the things that came up quite a lot was, in fact, sorry, give me 1 second.
What I'll do is that I'll ask another question, because a fantastic question had come up, is that, again, back to you, Adiba, in terms of how do you encourage more diversity within the board itself? So you've answered the young one, but now the diversity.
I think that with regards to encouraging diversity, TLC did something very interesting. The reason I was interested was because they sent the advert actually said, we're looking to diversify our board because we know that we're missing something. And that was so honest and it was so real. And immediately it took my interest, but also I lived right next door to TLC, so that helped too. But, it was just really real and honest. I think one of the most important things that we can do as organisations, especially as charity organisations, is just be clear and be as transparent as we can be, and that will increase our diversity. And whether it's to do with sexuality, gender, race, whatever it is, if we're honest, we'll get quite far.
Honesty is the best policy. I agree. Nazmin, we'll go back to the same question that we left.
Yeah, sorry. So just to quickly answer the other question. So yes, we did have to, you know, kind of give more investment to certain aspects of our work, because, for example, COVID obviously brought about a lot of bereavement, a lot of, you know, support that was needed. So we had to widen our, you know, counselling services to ensure that the appropriate support was there. And obviously we had to ensure that our staff had the appropriate training to be able to deal with, you know, bereavement related calls. So even though, you know, we did have that training before, but it obviously was very different now because of COVID. And to be honest, that is actually probably leads into how you ensure diversity at a board level. And that is, you know, if you are constantly thinking of diversity, constantly thinking of inclusivity in your services and everything that you do, and thinking, you know, how can we be more inclusive for service users, that shows to others that actually this is an organization that I can be a part of. So it's almost like, you know, what I'm suggesting is you need to lead by example in every possible way. So it's not just about your recruitment practices and how are we going to recruit trustees and, you know, what are trustees doing to attract others, but it's what you're doing in every aspect of your work. I'm actually the youngest trustee at my board as well. I'm 34 years old, but when I joined, I was actually 24 years old. And, you know, that is actually very young for a trustee to be joining. And the reason for that was because they welcomed me. You know, I actually got in touch with Muslim Women's Network UK about a general inquiry. And they said, actually, why don't you apply for this trustee role? You know, so they encouraged me to do it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought about it at all. And they've just been so supportive and said, you know what, you don't need to know everything. We are here to support you on your journey to learn. And I'm still here, you know, a decade later. And that's why I really believe it's all about being open and leading by example in every possible way.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, it's fantastic. It's been a long journey for you, and you've developed along with the organization, and that's the main thing as well. Tim, sort of similar question in terms of, you know, how do you encourage diversity within your board?
It goes back to our speaker at the start about, are we free to be honest? And it's about continually looking at your board, yourselves, and asking questions and making sure that that you know that we are free to be honest and allow people to speak, and that's a continual thing. You know, that never stops. I don't think we've got all the answers, and I don't think we've got everything right, certainly, but we have to face up to what we don't get right, and make sure that we continually challenge ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, if you don't challenge yourself, then you don't know if you're growing, and then you have to grow as an organization. But my final question to all of you is that what advice would you give to any budding or potential applicants that will want to apply to any funding pots that are out there? Not necessarily this award, but any awards. Also, Jamie, what's your advice?
Wow. I would say, you know, be honest, big yourself up, and be straight to the point as well. There are funders out there that want to give money away, but I think you have to be honest, and do get straight to the point. Don't waffle on, I would say. Yeah, that would be my advice.
Brilliant. That's to the point, precise, excellent, brilliant. Nasmin.
Okay, so I'm originally from Newcastle, so I'm going to give you a phrase that we use there as Geordies, and it's shy Ben's getting out, which is, if you're shy and you don't put yourself in for something, you're not going to get anything. And that is my advice. Apply, submit yourself, because the worst that's going to happen is you're not going to get anything out of it. Well, actually, no, let me correct that. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to learn what you need to do better for next time. You'll get feedback about where you are. It's almost like it's another evaluation, another way to review yourself and what your work and your aims and purposes. Because, if you get the funding, amazing, you're on the right track. If you haven't got the funding, you will learn, actually, this is what we need to do instead. But ultimately, if you don't apply, you're definitely not going to get any funding. So just go for it and see what happens. And I mean, that's exactly how we've become winners of the Charity Governance Awards 3 times. We just thought, let's just apply, see what happens. If we don't get shortlisted, fine. If we get shortlisted, amazing. And obviously, we won 3 times, which is even more amazing.
Excellent. Tim?
That's a tough question, actually. I think if you believe, if you're really passionate and you really believe in what you do, then hopefully that comes out in the things that you apply for and what you do. And I certainly feel that's been the case with us. Obviously, as you start to apply for bigger pots of money, then having that governance, that good governance, is absolutely essential. And because different pots become available at different times as the charity evolves and grows. But yeah, if you got to really believe in what you do, and if you're really passionate about what you do, then that will see you through, and attracting the right people, the right trustees to the board as well, and having somebody that's really good at doing these sort of applications, somebody that really knows what they're doing, and we're fortunate that we have Teresa doing that for us, and she's, as I said before, has done a fantastic job over the last few years for our charity.
Excellent. Thank you, Teresa. She's watching. And finally, Adiba.
I think everyone said quite a lot of what I was going to say. Having been on the other side where I have been a funder, the most important thing to me has been actually read the application. So a lot of the times when people don't read them, and then they put a lot of other things, and actually it comes down to clarity, being concise, showing your passion, Those are the core things. But then away from my funder head, what I would say is I have a motto in life, which is know your worth and add VAT. And I think that's exactly what we should be doing when we apply for funding.
Absolutely, no, excellent words. And I would also add to that, yes, read the guidance notes and the FAQ section. It will definitely help you. It goes a long way just to handhold you in the process. But that's all for now. And I just do want to say thank you to our winners for their time and insight. So let's all give a round of applause to the winners. Thank you so much. Yay. But now over to Michael to close the event.
Thanks so much, Ayesha. That was great fun, I thought, and very enlightening. Super, thank you. My personal congratulations to the winners. Also to the other nominees for making it onto the shortlist. Each of them has shown ingenuity and determination during one of the most difficult periods any of us have known. And I do not want to overlook all the other applicants who invested time and effort into their submissions. For those who haven't read the small print, could I just clarify that the winning charities are welcome to apply in a subsequent year, but they have to do so, almost needless to say, under a different category. All charities have experienced once in a lifetime challenges during the pandemic. These winners and nominees show us all what is possible and how creative thinking, innovative programs and committed investment can help the sector to deliver for its beneficiaries. I urge all charities to read about these inspiring boards on our website. Sharing ideas and best practice helps to raise the bar for excellence across the sector. Again, for those who haven't read the small print, each winner receives a £5,000 cash award, which is served up as an unrestricted grant, with all runners-up this year receiving a prize of £1,000. All shortlisted charities have also earned rewards such as 1-year membership to the Association of Chairs and a training place on the Course for Trustee Leadership Programme to support their continued excellence at board level. Could I then say how much we've appreciated hearing from Ndidi? I was personally very struck by the references she made to some previously relatively invisible pockets of disadvantage affecting individuals and communities, which then emerged so vividly as a result of the pandemic. While simultaneously there were also emerging so rapidly during last year serious concerns around EDI issues. And of course, Ndidi brought out there's a correlation, and that was really rather fascinating. I'm not sure I quite thought of the two actually being sort of congruent. And I like stop, listen, learn. Some further thank yous. For the Charity Governance Awards, the Cloth Workers Company enjoys a very happy partnership with the not-for-profit consultancy New Philanthropy Capital, NPC, Third Sector Recruitment Specialist Prospectus, and the trustee volunteer matching charity Reach Volunteering. I want to express special appreciation to clothworker colleagues who participated in the pre-judging process and also who carried out our due diligence process. And then, of course, to our professional judges who devoted their considerable resources, especially of time, in making the final decisions. To conclude, were we at Clothworkers Hall, I would be asking for a round of applause for René Ladoux, our communications manager, whose enthusiasm and efficiency have been fundamental to bringing the evening of awards to such a successful conclusion. I've enjoyed the event. Thank you so much to all our participants and all attendees. Good night.
Good night.